All right. Another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. I've never worn a turtleneck on video, so I'm like, this
Hopefully you won't get too warm.
feels like I'm like a head on a stem.
It is. It kind of looks like it.
I
Yeah.
don't like that look.
So today, listen, you guys, we have a really great show for you today because Dr. Erica, this was a topic that she brought up, and I was like, this is really amazing because as we age, as we get older, we start to look at what our bodies go through, how our lives start to decline, and we just think of them as normal parts of aging, when really in reality, it's neglecting your health. It's neglecting the things that can help prevent that rapid decline. So we're going to dive into that today and talk about some of the really common things that you might not even think about that are actually happening to you. So stay tuned for this one. Grab a friend here and let's talk about what are you neglecting in your health.
Well, it was that post that I shared, it was actually off of Fit LA BX. So probably somewhere in LA. I was just pulling it back up on my phone because it hit me like dead square in the face that this is exactly what we're talking about every week. And this is what we're trying to portray to our clients, our patients, and to family and friends, and live our own, live in that way ourselves as well. But I thought it was just so interesting because everybody is just taking, like, of course my body hurts. So then of course I'm going to slow down. And then of course, because I'm sitting here and I don't feel good. So of course I'm going to eat poorly. And then of course I'm going to blah, 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 and gain weight and be medicated. But one of the lines in it that was so profound to me is, so it's basically the average adult. And then it was talking about, if we medicate lifestyle diseases, just meaning like the things that we do or could do to change that. I was looking for where that line is. Pile on meds for lifestyle diseases. I think it might be worth even talking a little bit about what lifestyle diseases are, except for just obesity, right? And sedentary lifestyle, but what that really means. And then I had a patient in just this morning. He's 70. I had to look up his age before he got on here, 78 years old. And he said, hey, doc, do you think he moved here from Colorado to be closer to his nephew, who's basically like his primary kind of person? And he's like, hey, doc, do you think you can work with this dizziness some? I'm like, absolutely. When we adjust you, things will clear up and blah, blah, blah. So I've been adjusting him maybe for like 4 weeks. And he's like, hey, I went to see my MD yesterday. I was like, oh, good. How did it go? And he said, well, the MD was thinking, because of all the meds that I'm piling into my body every day and I'm doing them all at once. He said that I think my MD thinks that it's probably contributing to the dizziness. Mm-hmm. Yep.
You think? Yeah.
So he said, so what I've done for the last couple of days is I've just like spread them out over the day rather than taking, so I should get his medication. I have it in his file. I should pull it up, but see how many there are.
Try to take less.
Well, take less. So that's the question. That's the conversation I had, which actually turned really beautiful, because he was like, well, my MD out west, like he was really pushing for me to get the jab and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't really believe in that. I'm like, that's good. Everyone needs to have their medical autonomy. And I said, here's the thing. The great part about it is you're asking the questions. And keep asking the questions to all your providers, but especially the ones that are loading you up on medication. Just keep asking the questions. Can I get off of some of these? Can some of these be reduced in dosage? I'm glad that it was at least the first step, instead of tossing them all the way in first thing in the morning with breakfast. At least there's questions there that are getting them to question it all. So I loved that.
All of this.
Regardless of, I didn't blow his mind and fix his world, but it's just the little questions that we can start to ask. Everybody can start to ask, what do I need to be on? How do I need to blah, blah, blah. So,
well, that's my 84-year-old patient who is like, he's super active, and you would never even know he's 84 years old. And he's on 0 medications, doesn't even take anything over the counter. And he said, people are shocked when I go through TSA that I don't have a card that shows that I have a hip replacement or a knee replacement, or, I don't have a medication list. But I think that's really when you start looking at how can I live with greater longevity and resilience. It's not through pharmaceuticals. And that 75%, when you talk about lifestyle diseases, 75% of our chronic illnesses are due to poor lifestyle habits and choices. So we have to be able to look at that from the lens of it's in your power. It is in your power. It is not outside of you. It is not coming from a drug. It is not coming from a surgery. Obviously, if there's whatever, I'm not even gonna try to clarify that. But I'm just saying that we know that it can't be the first thing that we go towards. So, okay, if you have high blood pressure, you don't just go into the doctor one day and have high blood pressure. The doctor doesn't typically put you on high blood pressure the very first time that happens. Now you go in and you go in every single year, and now it becomes it's elevated every time you go in. You have had no discussion about lifestyle habits, exercise, proper eating, anti-inflammatory diets, or anything like that. And you keep going in, and then it's like, well, it hasn't gone down. If you're not given tools to decrease that naturally, then of course it's not going to go down. It's just going to keep elevating. And then it's like, well, see, we have to put you on medication right now because it didn't go down on its own. Nothing is going to stabilize itself on its own if you don't take the action steps. And one of the things with that post that you sent me that I thought, there was a few little things on here that I was like, this is really interesting, but walks fewer than 5,000 steps a day. How easy is that? Like most people who suffer from some chronic illness aren't even walking. And 5,000 steps a day is like, what, less than 2 miles? Like
I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's somewhere. It's negligible.
Nothing. Yeah. So getting up and moving your body. So it's simple things. It does not take a whole, like, you don't have to go spend 2 hours at the gym every day. You just need to maybe walk a couple of miles, get up and start moving, get your blood moving, get the things in your body metabolically fit versus just waiting for the doctor one day to have to put you on medication because you haven't been given any guidelines. And we want to be able to give you these guidelines so that you have a place to land. Like you said, your patient is asking questions. And so we want you guys to ask questions, and we want to be able to provide answers for you that you can make your own choices to be able to adapt into your own life.
Well, okay. So it's a great start to the conversation, which is, okay, so this patient, one of our patients goes into to see their MD, which, go get your annual physical, go do whatever. But if they're not given tools, and here's the thing, where are these tools coming from? The MD isn't going to give you the tools. Nobody's going to give you the tools for your health. They're out there. A lot of them are obvious. A lot of them are self-evident. We're going to be here every single week sharing some of the things that we do to keep our own health on track. But it's like looking even outside yourself for the tools. Like, go within. Your body needs more rest. Your body needs more water. Your body needs more movement. So I'm just going to go through that list just because I think it's so profound and it just literally smacks her in the face. The average adult gains 10 to 15 pounds every 5 years. Just add the years on and see exactly where that's
2
going.
pounds a year, if not more.
Every 5 years.
Right. So 10 pounds in 5 years.
Yeah, in 5 years. Yeah. Oh, a pound. Yeah. 2 pounds a year.
Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah.
That is a lot. Can't do one single pull-up. Now, I cannot do one single pull-up, but I just so happened, before I even saw this, I did buy a pull-up station. So it has like the bar, it's got the dip bar, and then it's got the assistance, because I can't go out and do the things that I used to be able to just go run 10 miles, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to do that with my body anymore, but I do want to stay super strong. And I know pull-ups are a key to longevity, even if they're assisted.
When I was younger and strong, I could never do a pull-up. So I do dead hangs. And dead hangs are also acceptable for longevity, for sure. So
stares at the screen 5+ hours a day, every single person, and if not more. Eats more sugar.
We do want you staring at this screen when we're on, though.
Yes, we do. Save one of your hours for us on Thursdays. Eats more sugar than protein. that simple thing, when you're out in your day, just switch it. Just start to switch it. At least go for something. If this is what I think about when we're out driving around, you're trying to get your kids to sporting events, you're trying to get the errands ran, you're trying to do all that. If you were to need to go into a store, into a gas station, into something because you're starving, just choose a little bit wiser. Make a better plan, but choose a little bit wiser. Tosses and turns all night. Can't squat their own body weight. Can't deadlift their own body weight, walks less than 5,000, you mentioned, hits snooze 3 times before getting up, piles on meds for lifestyle diseases, gets winded walking up steps, watches their body decay year after year. This isn't getting old. This is neglect.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I think that if we want to grow old gracefully, and I mean, even on that list, I'm like, I can't squat my body weight. I can single leg press my body weight, but I know too, like if I try to deadlift something, it always sends me into back spasm. So
yeah,
I'm picking other things. Right. But I think the important thing is just because if I go to do a deadlift, even with a small dumbbell, I don't know, something about that movement. And Dr. Erica knows, she'll be like, did you do legs yesterday? I'm like, yeah, I did those stupid deadlifts and I'm in spasm for days. Anyway, so, but that doesn't mean I don't find other ways to strengthen my lower body. So I know that we just gave you a list of things. It's something to work for. And if you can't do something on that list, you find another way to do it. Mm-hmm. So, if you can't squat, then you do an inverted leg press or, you have to find ways to challenge your body to keep it strong as you age. And also, I would add to that list an Asian squat, which is squatting all the way down. We know it as a yoga squat, but squatting all the way down so that your knees are fully bent and your bum is almost to the floor. Because that is like, think about toddlers. Toddlers are in this position all the time. And so as we get older, we get lazy, we bend over from our spine, and then our knees start to creak and hurt. And then we're like, oh, it hurts. And I've had patients say this to me, young women in their late 40s, early 50s, and they'll say, I don't do that move anymore. I don't squat down because it hurts my knees. Squat down. I'm just going to tell you, squat down. Yeah. Like and I was saying this, did I say this last week or maybe I was telling my daughter? So there's a move in yoga called Bakasana, and it's basically like just your hands and you tip forward and you put your knees on the backs of your elbows and you're balancing just on your hands in like this squatted position on your elbows. And every time when they call out to do that move, I'm like, oh, it's so hard. But I tell myself, you're going to do it, because there'll come a day when you softened and you wussed out one too many times that you'll never be able to do it. Like I can do it. It's just hard. Mm-hmm. So just do it. So we talk ourselves out of doing hard things because they can hurt in a good way. You guys know they're challenging. And so just freaking do it. Because you're going to then wish the day that comes when you're like, oh, I used to be able to do whatever, and you can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Right. So that Asian squat, which I didn't realize that's what it was called. So I have an itty bitty 7-pound dog, and he's literally like this big. He's about as tall as my head is. And if I come at him bent over from my 5'10" frame, bent forward, and I put my hands down like I'm trying to put a leash on him, he backs off. So I literally have to be in that squat multiple times a day, because then if I'm down in that squat like that, he will actually come to me. And so it's like at least 3 to 5 times a day, I have to be in that position. And I do notice that my knees make a little bit of noise. But I realize that if I just keep doing that, at least it's lubricating the joint in that way. And
That's a great
so,
way to think about it.
yeah, it's at least lubricating, it's at least moving. Like I feel like however we move today, we'll be able to move tomorrow because we moved today. There are limitations of matter for sure as we go, as we discussed in the 33 principles.
We lost her. I think we lost her. So she was saying in the 33 principles, we talked about limitations of matter, where sometimes the body just has a hard time doing things. And we do have to sometimes push through that. But then, like, if you've had like a knee replacement or a hip replacement, you're not going to be able to, let me take her off of the stage for a second until she comes back. You're not going to be able to do certain things because you just don't have the mobility. So you do have to work within the parameters that your body's able to do. And Silly Lily, she says, I've heard if you lose strength in your legs, you age faster. Is there truth to that? It makes sense to me. So aging can happen faster when there's weakness. And the other thing that when you lose strength in your legs, and this is especially for women, is I always encourage making sure that you are maintaining your leg strength, because we have to protect ourselves against falls as we get older. You know, we can lose balance easy. Hand-eye coordination can be challenged, which is also why I love yoga, because it still challenges my nervous system and my ability to balance and coordinate. And so if you maintain flexibility, you maintain strength, and you maintain your neurological balance, then God forbid, if you have a fall, you're able to either maybe prevent the fall or recover from it faster, or should there be some kind of weird injury, you can then also heal from that a lot faster. So we want to be able to make sure that we do maintain that strength and our flexibility, because it'll prevent injury, but then it'll help you recover from injury faster. I'm just answering Silly Lily's message. So
No, I appreciate it. I'm pretty sure it was my internet just did a glitch over here. I'm pretty sure I was like, oh gosh, I have the spinning wheel of death. So thank you for continuing on like you always do and will, I'm sure. I'm trying to figure out how I can, there we go.
you're
Get this
giving us
better
the spinning
angle.
wheel of death.
Oh gosh. I took it off Wi-Fi, so and now I'm on my phone. That's the only issue. So
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, keeping up that level of strength and then just challenging yourself. So even if it's something that's hard, even if you're like, oh, that is like tough to get upside down and balance on my hands. Think about it too, though. If I'm balancing on my elbows and the strength that I'm developing in my hands and my wrists, God forbid, if I fall, I've got the ability to catch myself or not break a bone. There's some bizarre statistic, like if you're over 75, something like that, and you break a bone and you end up in the hospital, you have a 50% chance of dying in the hospital. Like, it's some crazy stat. So we just want to avoid all of that at all costs and maintain that strength. And that builds bone strength when you're balancing like that too. Your bones have to adapt and become stronger. And you probably see it. What's that?
I was going to say it's one of my worst postures too, whenever they call that. And, but yeah, if you just try, like people tell me they can't walk this long, they can't do this. I have a 52-year-old that has the shakes, she's a woman that comes in, she's been coming in for years, but she's got that like vibration shake, and she's afraid to go out on the sidewalk and just go for a walk. And it doesn't matter what I do or what I say to her, but I'm like, you have to start trying. Your family is going to be like, not that she's just going to be a challenge in aging if she's at 52 years old and she's afraid to go out on the sidewalk and at least just go for a walk. She lives right downtown in a flat area of town too. And it's like, we just, even if you can't do it, you feel like you can't do it, you have to just do it anyway. Do what you can every single day you can.
Mm-hmm.
And getting adjusted, of course, just to make sure that everything stays aligned, because we get one spine. I started a nurse under care earlier this week. And she was like, I never really thought about all of these things that you're telling me about how important the spine is. We can go out and get a shoulder replacement, hip replacement, knee replacement, all of that. But we're not taking care of the spine. It's usually too late by the time we're really realizing like we should have done that. And then we're at like 3 times a week for 3 months because we have and then it's to get people to be patient with that recovery process is like, or just go get cut on off a knife, or you can just go take a bunch of meds. But we just have to do everything we can every single day we can. So
I have my patient Cody. I always tell you about Cody, and he comes once or twice a week, and he's like he'll be 29 or 30, I can't remember, and he came in last week, and he said, my friends are always asking me if the chiropractor works, why do you have to keep going? And he said to me, because you have no idea what kind of effed up shit I have done to my life,
right.
and that it's the only thing that keeps me feeling good and feeling flexible and mobile. Like,
Yeah.
so he, even at his young age of 29 or 30, he recognizes that he rode dirt bikes, and he was that really aggressive, kid that jumped out of trees, and knows that he's had tons of traumas, and so that recognition for trying to do all of the right things so that he can, as he gets older, he can make sure that he's, still just living like he doesn't do all that crazy stuff anymore, but he wants to live a life without pain and be able to move and, have good longevity. So I wish more people recognized that when they were young, right?
Somebody was talking about pain the other day on a podcast I was listening to, and it was saying that if you have pain when you're moving your body around, that's one thing. But if you have pain when you're at a standstill, like you are so far down the pain path. And a lot of people just live that way, accept that. So, yeah. And everything that we've done, like you were talking about with Cody, it's like everything that we've done in our life all adds up. And I say anything up to the age of about 20, 22 shows up really in a big way between 35 and 50. Like everything starts to kind of come back around, and our body keeps score, which we've said so many times. The body keeps
For
score of
sure.
all the things we've done.
And you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't done whatever. But then also, I think that we're in such a valuable position for so many people, because as chiropractors, we are able, regardless of the garbage that you bring us from a lifetime of fun that you've had or traumas, whatever it is, we are actually able to make sure that you are still in the game of life. And, I've got another young guy, 40, took a huge spill off of his mountain bike a couple weeks ago. I have to send you the video. He sent me the video. He's given me permission to show it.
Oh.
Crazy. Like, he tried to go up onto a wall with his daughter sitting in front. He's already had mass traumas from riding, but he tried to go sideways up the wall, and he bit it in midair and came down. And all you hear off camera is, oh, and his daughter's like, oh my God, are you okay? He's like, I'm fine. So, and of course, I commented, because he posted the video, and I commented, I said, don't you dare come in here and tell me you slept wrong.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he's
I don't know what I
recognized-
did. I don't know what I did.
I don't know what I did. And that's so typical, right? Is that people are like, yeah, I had this fall. And then 2 months later, you come in and you're like, I don't know what I did. I think I just slept wrong. No. Yeah. So, and I think that's too, like, we are here to make sure that we are fleshing out the truth for everybody and making sure that you're like, you're not going to come in and lie to yourself or us. So,
Yeah,
but one of the things in that list that I also want to address, because I think it's really common for people to slough it off and minimize, is sleep. If you're not getting a proper amount of sleep, and how many people have you dealt with on a daily basis, and they say, oh, I've never been a good sleeper. Like, they're just like, oh, and they slough it off. They've normalized this poor sleep, and that is so metabolically unsound for our bodies. Like that, if there's one thing to correct, it is your inability to properly sleep. And it drives everything else.
Right. And it's I never want to say it's easy, but it is relatively simple to at least begin to prioritize that one. So there may be, like, I actually ended up getting the Aura ring, which we both work with the Aura ring, which is it's a tracking device. And I actually initially got it because that is what I was working really hard to hack. It doesn't mean you need to go out and get the Aura ring, but to have something that helps track your sleep cycle, and you can really start to, what you can track, you can actually change and adjust. And so it was one of the things, and it's like, okay, when it gets to this time in the day, I need to start to blah blah blah, and I do better if I have this, and my workouts are this time of day, and it's good to have just kind of like the science experiment constantly going on with ourselves of the things that we're going to do and eat and, do whatever have in your daily life that moves you towards health or towards illness and sickness and death. Truly. I mean, I think back when I was in Vegas, I was talking to a doc that had been in practice for 49 years. And I'm like, how do you get people to really understand supplements and really understand chiropractic? He's like, take them or die. That's how he says it. He's like, here, take them or die, take them or die. And I'm like, I'm still, that sticks with me. It's like, you got to do these things or die. And,
Mhm.
we don't need to be harsh, and we're not being light about it, but it really is. It's like people are committing slow suicide with their forks every day by just the stuff that they're eating or not eating. And so, yeah, take it or die, do some of these things or die.
Well, and if you were told you had to take insulin every day, you would
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
or die. If you
Yeah.
were told you had to take high blood pressure medication every day, you would take it, right? Take it or die. It's such a great mantra. But yet, we don't think about the fact that if we aren't getting good sleep, you are dying slowly. It is creating such metabolic unfitness in you. I don't know what else to,
Yeah.
chaos, right?
Compromise.
Metabolic
Yep.
chaos in your body. It's causing inflammation. It's causing your brain to not function properly. It causes digestive upset. Like there are so many dysfunctions that happen when you aren't sleeping properly. And we can see this in you guys. When you come to us and you say, and one of the reasons we get asked, we as doctors, we will always ask, tell me about your sleep. Do you fall asleep easily? If you do fall asleep, do you wake up at 2 a.m., having a party, can't get to sleep for 2 hours? You're in one of those camps. And oftentimes people will be like, oh yeah. And then they make that excuse. I've never been a great sleeper. Then we'll go into, do you have brain fog? Do you have digestive disorder? Digestive issues? Do you have reflux? Do you poop every day? Do you feel bloated every day? And usually it's check, 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 check. All of those things get checked yes, because you're not sleeping. If we can get sleep corrected. So stop making excuses for the improper sleep, because that is not on the longevity plan.
Well, the other part about that too is that a lot of patients are like, well, I was realizing that I'm not sleeping very well, so I knew I needed to get back in. When you get adjusted, the nervous system comes down a level, comes down into the rest and relaxation mode, when even just walking out the doors here. But then it helps people get better sleep. I mean, we feel that so much. Fortunately, when I travel, sleep is a lot of times challenging, but I'm also traveling with chiropractors, so I get to get adjusted along the way. But that's, it's so key to just bringing the nervous system down to the where it can heal and breathe and just do all the things that is required in order to age really gracefully, and kind of just having a little bit of awareness there is where it all starts, which is why we're here.
Yeah, I love that you're sleeping well, Silly Lily. I love that you have an active lifestyle. That's really what it's about. And when I guess one last thing about sleep is that I've noticed that as I've moved into my 50s, and that most of the women in perimenopause and menopause around me, we're all talking about sleep, and we rejoice in a good night's sleep. Like this 25-year-olds are not, calling each other going, oh my God, I slept so good last night. But it's so interesting how we will leave each other messages. And Dr. Erica and I will do this, and we're like, dude, I slept so good last night. I didn't get up once to pee. And it's amazing, like, because we're cheering each other on to have a good night's sleep. We recognize how important it is. And we want you guys to recognize the importance of that too. I would say, so if you're getting adjusted, it can help your sleep. But if you are getting adjusted and it's not helping your sleep, there are other factors, and we need to
Mhm.
take a deep dive into what's happening there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it, that's for sure. So, yeah.
You got
So
anything else to
anyway,
add?
I think that's about it for today. I mean, I think we should post that picture. I want to post it again. Find us on
Oh,
our social platforms. I think
yeah.
can't we do stories on YouTube too? And then we'll have to just post some of these things. And then of course the show notes, if you guys are here, subscribe and the show notes will be right
Yes.
there, be sent to you.
Yeah.
So
And we also have a link to our newsletter in the show notes, right at the top of the show notes. So please make sure you are sharing this and telling others. I didn't check our subscribers this week, but we had 10 last week. So we're super
nice.
excited.
We're getting
Yeah,
there little
we
by
are
little.
getting there. Yeah. Thank you so much, Silly Lily. I appreciate you being here. And Silly Lily has, she's part of Ken from Conversations in Ken's Cafe. And the two of them decided that we need a bigger outlet. And so we will be streaming from Ken's channel onto our own channels. We still have our own channel, but we'll be streaming out to other channels. So we will be having a greater presence. So I do want to thank you publicly, Lily, for that and recognizing that what our message is we need to get it out to more people. So appreciate you so much on that.
Thank you. Hope you guys have a
Until
great,
next time,
great week.
guys.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.